All right, VC, welcome to another episode of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks, where again we're going to delve into obscure, long forgotten albums and bands and songs. Sometimes you might get a big band, but an obscure song, a B-side. Sometimes you might get an obscure band, but the song was famous and the band came and went. Okay, today we're actually talking about being the Wednesday episode where we focus on, death rock, gothic rock, dark wave. The band was along those edges. The genre didn't exist at the time, but they've influenced a lot of dark wave and death rock bands. Band that came out in the late 60s, okay, went on through 73, had some member changes a little bit, but definitely it was a kind of a dark band. It's like a little bit of psychedelic stuff, acid rock, if you will. Okay, but we're talking about the Velvet Underground. Okay, Velvet Underground, which was led by Lou Reed, main songwriter, singer. I want to talk about a live album of theirs, their first live album. In a way, you can maybe consider this the first bootleg live album. Okay, it was recorded in 1970. Okay, at live at Max Kansas City. Okay, Max's Kansas City was a restaurant bar in New York City. Okay, in the artsy part of town, I believe. Okay, this album originally was released in 1972. Okay. Really good album, recorded in mono. Okay, this was actually recorded from a cassette recorder, believe it or not, but they got really good sound out of it. But it's in mono. Okay, this is a colored vinyl. Sounds really good. Cotillion Records. Okay, their last two albums they made, Loaded and Squeeze, were released on Atlantic. So they signed to Atlantic their last 2 years and went through a couple member changes. But this album is a live album, really good. The song we're going to showcase is New Age, which was on their Loaded album. But for it being mono and recorded on a cassette recorder in 1970, it sounds really good. Mono, I like a lot of mono recordings. They sound great. Maureen wasn't in the band at the time. I guess she had left the band. So Doug, Bill took her place. Bill Ewell, Doug's brother, he played bass, and Bill played, I think he was on the Loaded album too. He played drums. Okay, Sterling Morrison was still in the band, and then of course Lou Reed. But the Loaded album is really good. They do a few songs from the Loaded album on this record. They did New Age, Lonesome Cowboy Bill, Sweet Jane. I believe those are the After Hours, I believe too. But really good album. This album, it's really cool because it has a kind of like a directory. I think there was 3 floors. On the 2 floors in the restaurant, and one of them was the hall, the bar where the bands would play. They did like a 9-week residency. Okay, one of the last albums that Lou Reed ever participated on. Okay, but yeah, they did a 9-week residency, and on one of those nights, it was one of Andy Warhol's friends, circle of friends, Bridget Polk, had the recorder, and every night she would record. Based on the story I read, conversations, backstage with the band. But then on this night, she recorded the whole concert. And Danny Fields, one of the Atlantic A&R reps, got a hold of the tape or was exposed to it and said, why don't we release this on Atlantic? So it got released 2 years later. Okay, I would love to get my hands on the original pressing. I've never seen. This is a repress in 2016 repress of the album. Okay, everything's original. I love the liner notes because they kept the packaging's everything as the original album. But it says here, you know, the little story about the recording and all that, what transpired and all that. Okay, so yeah, the Velvet Underground live at Max's Kansas City, featuring Lou Reed, Doug Yule, Billy Yule, and Sterling Morrison. Okay, so New Age, check out that song. It's a really good song. Loaded is my favorite Velvet Underground record. Okay, there's not their swan song, but the one after Squeeze was their last album. But New Age is a really, really good song, sung with a lot of feel. Lou really puts a lot of effort into his vocals, but for it being mono, it sounds really good. Okay, for a mono record. But yeah, originally released in 1972, recorded in 1970 in the summer during their 9-week residency at the Max's Kansas City. So check that out. Check out, I'll put the link to the song, but check out their last record. You know, their early stuff was very psychedelic, you know, dark, very dark. Their live shows must have been amazing. But yeah, a lot of slow songs, you know, I'll Be Your Mirror, stuff like that. Pale Blue Eyes, you know, their early stuff is really good. You know, they weren't like a big band, but they had a cult following in the 60s. They kind of became big after, you know, after they broke up. And they've influenced everybody from, you know, Echo and the Bunnymen always gives a shout out to the Velvet Underground, The Cure, you know, all these 80s bands always give a shout out to how much influence, you know, even Joy Division does. Joy Division did a couple of their songs. But yeah, they've influenced a lot of the dark gothic bands, you know, Bauhaus as well. Peter Murphy always gives a shout out. But yeah, I love the Velvet Underground. I love Lou Reed's solo stuff too. It's really, really good. You know, may rest in peace, you know. But he was a great songwriter, musician, almost like poet, you know, great lyrics. All his lyrics are, you know, really heartfelt. You can tell it was from a past experience, stuff like that. But yeah, check this live album out. Live at Max's Kansas City. New Age is the song. Okay. All right, VC. Well, I hope you're enjoying the midweek episodes. A little bit of a different turn here. We did a little bit of a different episode this time, you know, using still the dark wave influence, but it was an older band from the late 60s, but just gave it a little twist. I hope you like that. Try to do something different all the time, you know. All right, so yeah, thanks for watching the video. Hope you're all doing well, VC. Check out some of my other videos, tell a friend, like and subscribe, and keep spinning that vinyl. I'll see you on Sunday for another edition of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Trash.